But Mummy, you need some more water.
She loves being outside, she loves singing, dancing. She's really happy at home in her Wendy house. She likes running about, she loves going to the park. But there's times, she comes home from nursery and she's quite withdrawn. I don't know if it's just the tiredness. She just kind of sits on the couch and cuddles into her teddy, and you can't coax her into doing anything.
Sarah's taken the decision to defer her daughter Emma. If her 5th birthday was in January or February, she would be automatically entitled to funding for an extra year in nursery. But because she was born in November, she's not. Looking at Emma and imagining her going to school in her uniform in August, how does that make you feel?
There's part of me that would love to see it, but I just don't think it would be in her best interest. I'm then thinking about the opposite, her coming home at the end of the day and what kind of state she'll be in, and it's just not worth it for her.
And you tried to apply for a deferral with Stirling Council.
I submitted about a 2,000-word statement, and in response we got generic rejection reasons, so that was quite offensive.
So why do you feel that Emma's not quite ready to go to primary school yet?
There's a few reasons, one of them being her speech. Sometimes I need to translate for people, they can't always understand her. In turn, that leads her to becoming frustrated quite easily, and we see lots of temper tantrums at home. We know that she's been a wee bit later to meet her developmental milestones, and we're concerned that if she continues being just a wee bit on the slower side, then how is that going to affect her when she's older, when it comes to sitting exams?
You're her mum, so you know her best, but you also sought help from professionals.
I spoke to her health visitor, who's known Emma since she was born. She came to our house to see her and did a wee assessment. She agreed with some of the things that I mentioned, just her ability to sit and focus and concentrate, her ability to answer questions.
But despite this, both the application and an appeal were rejected.
I think they maybe need to demonstrate that they are taking into account the parents' opinion, and give it maybe more weight.
In the past year, Stirling Council has approved 4 in 10 applications, the lowest rate in the country. The picture across Scotland is varied, but this will change by 2023. The Scottish Government will then fund an extra year of nursery for all who choose to defer. A handful of councils have already put this policy in place, with some parents complaining about a postcode lottery.
It just seems really unfair that we live 5-10 miles away from a council that would automatically approve our application.
So where do you stand now?
We are sure of our decision that it's the best one for Emma to defer her. With me being on maternity leave just now, I'm not sure what level we will be able to fund her. We're not sure if we can continue her to pay for her to attend nursery at the same level that she goes to just now. So we might have to reduce her hours, which is the complete opposite to what we would hope for.
Stirling Council says the reasons to reject the application were clearly set out to the family, and it offered Emma an enhanced transition plan and reassurances over the play-based nature of the P1 curriculum.
Yeah, there was lots of tears, and you question whether you're making the right decision, and I think it's hard enough being a parent without, that added worry that you're not doing the right thing for your child.
Brian and Kelly's son Jack doesn't turn 5 until February, so unlike Emma, his nursery place for after the summer is funded.
I felt quite emotional at the thought of Jack going to school this year because he'd be the youngest in his class potentially. That was me over 30 years ago. I was sent to school at an early 4, and I felt slightly less developed than others as I went through my school years, and I wanted to offer Jack a different journey and story. We knew that a year would support his development, whether it be resilience building, whether it be his emotional intelligence as well. The thought of him entering into P1 this year and potentially taking part in P1 assessments, being perfectly honest with you, I didn't think was quite the right time for Jack.
You've been doing a lot of research into this, haven't you?
I've made an informed decision, and I don't think actually parents understand deferment. I just think there's a lot of shame, and I think that's because the language out there is to hold your child back. I think if more parents out there had that level of information, they would be able to make an informed choice, knowing that it would have huge benefits for their son or daughter in the future.
How much do you think the next year nursery will benefit him?
Jack's got 11 years of school to come anyway, so I think another year in an environment where he can go and have some fun and enjoy himself and get to know himself a wee bit better, I think that's going to serve him well in the long run.
Alison has run this nursery in Edinburgh for decades. She's passionate about giving children the best start.
They're running around here, you can see what they're doing, and in 6 weeks' time they get put in a school uniform, school shoes that are not really good for climbing or paddling or whatever, possibly a tie, maybe a lovely primary one teacher, but there'll be 20 odd children. They don't know where the toilets are, some of them can't wipe their own bottoms, they can't maybe feed themselves, and that transition is far too rapid. To parents, I would say, look at your child. Can your child throw a ball and have fun with you? Can they catch that ball? And if they can't, then why on earth is there a pencil in their hands? Can they climb upside down on the climbing frame and get an idea of their own sort of space around them? And if they can't, why are you expecting them to sit still? Sitting still is a difficult thing to do. Schools are trying to introduce a play-based pedagogy, but they're not supported with the correct number of staff. In nurseries, you've got 1 to 8 or better. In school, it's be 1 to 20 or 1 to 24.
Would you say that a kindergarten approach would essentially just be better for every child, no matter what their developmental stage is?
Categorically, yes.
Of course, a lot of things do come down to money. How much investment do you think this would take?
You don't need many resources. You need good outside places, you need good waterproofs, and you need qualified staff that are being paid a good salary. If they don't spend the money on the early years, let's just say 3 to 7, then that money is often needed later on for intervention for mental health, if children's well-being hasn't been kept to the fore, and that's even more costly. It's costly financially, but it's costly emotionally too. Somebody has to look at the long-term effects.
Suzanne is a psychologist looking at just that. In your 30 years of experience, Suzanne, why would you say deferring is beneficial?
British schools start children in formal learning much earlier than most of the rest of the world, because it's a tradition, it's a habit, and therefore we think it's normal. But what we now know from the science of child development is it's really too early. If you ask children to do things before their stress system is ready, that has a developmental impact. And it's absolutely true that some children will cope fine with the system we have at the moment, but there are lots of children who don't cope well. Their self-regulatory system, which means how you manage strong, big feelings, is immature, is fragile. And the experiences that you have of play, of social interaction, of hanging out with friends and settling disputes, if you have time doing that earlier in life, then your stress system is more robust. Then you're ready to sit down and focus. A kindergarten stage, till the ages of 6 or 7, would meet the needs of all the children. Children would have the play experiences, the free flow experiences, the time with peers, the ratio between adults and children that would have the best impact on their biological development. But here's the interesting thing. The economics of the early years tells us that if we don't spend this money now, we spend it in even greater amounts just a few years down the line. We don't really get this. We just get scared. We see the costs, the changes, without also seeing the opportunities. So part of this is a cultural shift about our understanding of the importance of childhood and how human development works.